Mike went further, claiming the confession had been signed under duress from Paul. Just like that, every piece of evidence the prosecution had fell apart, and the case was turned completely on its head. Will finally understood he was dealing with someone far more cunning than he'd expected. He couldn't afford to underestimate Mike any longer and had to start from scratch. First, he went to the villa where Paul and Mike's wife had been meeting and pulled the surveillance footage, but the images were too blurry to identify anyone. Then he searched Mike's office for anything useful, only to find that Mike had anticipated this too. Right on schedule, Mike called and mocked him, declaring that Will would leave empty-handed. Frustrated but out of options, Will headed to the hospital and tried reading books aloud to Mike's wife, hoping to wake her so she could testify. But the doctor delivered a devastating blow. The brain damage was too severe. She was almost certainly never going to regain consciousness. A vegetative state was the best-case scenario. With the final trial just a day away, Will's last hopes crumbled. He was at a complete loss. That's when Paul approached him with a proposal. He could arrange for someone to provide false testimony, guaranteeing a conviction. Will refused on principle, but seeing the woman trapped in a vegetative state, knowing the real killer was walking free, it started eating at him. After agonizing over it all night, he handed the fabricated evidence to his assistant and told her to act on his phone signal during the trial. Yet his conscience wouldn't let him go through with it. After a fierce internal battle, he put down the phone. When the judge asked if there was any new evidence, all Will could say was, "No, Your Honor." With no other choice, the judge declared Mike not guilty of attempted murder and released him in open court. The case was closed. It was the first defeat of Will's career. Just then, a gunshot rang out from outside. Will rushed out and found Officer Paul. The scandal had destroyed him. Unable to bear the public shame and powerless to bring his lover's killer to justice, Paul had taken his own life. Mike, meanwhile, looked thoroughly pleased with himself. He'd killed 2 birds with 1 stone. He then headed to the hospital to finish what he started. He demanded that the doctors disconnect his wife's ventilator. As her husband, he believed it was his call to make. When Will found out, he scrambled to file an emergency restraining order, but it was too late. By the time he reached the hospital, all he saw were the flat lines on the monitors. For the first time, Will felt truly hopeless. He knew the truth. The killer was standing right in front of him, and there was absolutely nothing he could do. The case sent Will into a long spiral. Then one day, a random incident gave him an epiphany. A colleague accidentally grabbed the wrong phone because they had the same model. That tiny detail made everything click. He raced to Mike's house, found the key handgun, and finally pieced together the entire truth. Mike's pistol was the exact same make and model as Paul's service weapon. His real reason for visiting the villa had been to swap guns, so the weapon used to shoot his wife actually belonged to Paul. Then Mike arranged for Paul to enter the room alone for a negotiation, with both men supposedly laying down their weapons. He knew that when Paul saw the woman he loved shot on the floor, he'd lose control. So Mike deliberately let Paul grab the gun and walk away with it. The real murder weapon had been in Paul's possession all along. The truth was finally out, but Mike remained unfazed. He knew he couldn't be tried twice for the same crime. Even if Will had figured it all out, what could he really do? That's when Will showed why he was the professional. The attempted murder charge couldn't be retried. True, but the situation had changed. Mike had ordered the doctors to remove his wife's breathing tube, causing her death.